Hi everyone. A quick comment before the episode starts. To keep making these episodes, we need your support. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and share with your friends. Every subscription helps. If you're listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or any other podcast platform, please give us a rating and leave a review. Your feedback is really important because it keeps us going. Thank you and enjoy today's episode.
Page 1834, page 1835, page 1836.
The Ninth Assembly has been quite busy.
Page 1837.
In 2019, they passed over 70 bills, important ones too.
Several bills were passed to establish federal universities and polytechnics. The National Health Insurance Commission bill was also passed.
The Mental Health and Substance Abuse Bill, the Sexual Harassment Bill, the Police Academy Bill.
These are all major bills that are meant to close really important gaps in our society. Then there's this interesting bill that passed the House of Representatives in 2019.
Donkey, think of the saddest thing that's ever happened to you.
Oh man, where do I begin? Well, first it was the time that old farmer tried to sell me for some magic beans. I ain't never got over that.
The bill is all about donkeys.
HB 108 is the Donkey Export and Killings Prohibition Bill, sponsored by Honorable Muhammad Garba Dati. It passed the second reading in the House of Representatives and is currently sitting with the Senate.
On today's episode, Alex and Richard dig into HB 108 to understand why we need to save the donkey. From Triple E Media, I'm Rahmat Muhammad, and this is The Backstory.
Kenya joins the list of African countries that have banned donkey exports to China, which includes Uganda, Tanzania, Botswana, Niger, Mali.
Since 2016, countries across West Africa have been banning and condemning donkey slaughter and donkey skin exports.
Apparently, there is a huge market for donkey skin. And according to the Vanguard newspaper, between 2016 to 2017, the price for donkeys in Nigeria has skyrocketed by 200%.
A research paper by Hassan et al. From Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, stated that back in 2008 in Jigawa State, jennies, those are the female donkeys, sold for as little as 6,000 naira, and jacks, the male donkeys, went for about 7,000 naira. By 2021, a jenny can sell for as much as 40,000 naira and jacks for as much as 60,000 naira.
The price increase for donkeys is following the basic economic principle of supply and demand. There is a high demand for donkeys and the supply is limited. So the question is, where is the demand coming from?
The demand is coming from China. We found this video of a factory somewhere in China where thousands of raw donkey skins are stacked on top of each other, waiting to be processed. Each skin is inspected and placed into this machine that kind of looks like a giant rotating cylinder.
Now, the machine soaks the skins to soften it a bit. Then the skin is laid onto a platform where the hairs are completely removed by shaving them off. What remains is the tan color of the donkey skin, which is about the size of a blanket. The skin is then cut up into smaller pieces.
Does that sound good to you?
No, not really, no.
So when the skins are cut up into smaller pieces, these pieces are then put into another machine that kind of looks like a big round eyeball that is filled with liquid. This eyeball is part of what looks like a giant pressure cooker system that basically turns the skins into liquid.
Oh, that is nasty.
After the skins turn to liquid, the impurities are removed. The remaining hot liquefied skins are then mixed with other ingredients and poured into these rectangular wooden containers that look about 3 feet tall. When the mixture cools down, it turns into a solid rectangular slab.
This solid gelatinous slab is then cut into smaller rectangular pieces, about the size of a hand, and sold as a product called ejiaho. Think of it like a Kit Kat bar, but instead of chocolate, it's made of donkey skin.
And the main and active ingredient in ejiaho is collagen from the donkey skins. It turns out that donkeys have a large amount of collagen in their skin.
Collagen is what makes skin healthy and keeps it elastic and stretchy. Basically, it keeps the skin from getting wrinkled and dry. Collagen makes up about 3/4 of the skin, but as we age, collagen breaks down and it's harder for the body to produce some more.
Now, it just so happens that donkeys produce a lot of collagen in their skin. And once this collagen is converted into ejiaho, the market is endless.
Ejiaho is put into popular health foods, traditional medicines, beauty supplements, and gynecological treatments.
It is used to replenish blood supply, stop bleeding, nourishes the skin,
avoiding miscarriages, increases libido, prevents infertility,
resisting fatigue, and some even use it to prevent cancer. So ejiaho is seen as this sort of restorative product that helps balance the yin and yang.
Now, ejiaho bars were once a relatively cheap product. According to the China Daily newspaper, in 1990, ejiaho was sold for $18 per kilo. By 2000, it nearly doubled to $32 per kilo. In 2017, it was $435 per kilo. And this year, 2021, it's going for $800 per kilo. Again, the changes in price follows the basic economic principle of supply and demand.
Now, according to a report by the Donkey Sanctuary, China's demand is about 5 million hides every year to produce ejiaho. Now, China does actually have its own donkeys, but according to a BBC report, their donkey population dropped from 11 million in 1990 to 3 million today. And they are not breeding donkeys fast enough to keep up with demand for ejiaho. China is able to source about 2 million skins internally. So that means that they need to import about 3 million hides to meet their demand.
And that's where Africa steps in. As far back as biblical times, the donkey was always the beast of burden. It was a means of transporting people and farm goods.
Jesus rides a donkey into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday.
Mary rode a donkey traveling to Bethlehem with Joseph.
Abraham saddled donkeys with wood for the burnt offering that he was going to make to God.
Fast forward to today. The Donkey Sanctuary estimates that the donkey supports over 500 million people in the poorest communities across the world. All across Africa, donkeys are primarily used for farming. Now, as you know, there's been a huge push in Nigeria for everyone to return to the farm. From 2015 to 2020, the federal government committed over $500 billion Naira on various agricultural and rural development initiatives. Most are targeted at small subsistence farmers.
And the donkey is a very critical part of the agricultural supply chain for subsistence farming. Donkeys are used to work the farm and as a means of transporting farmed products from the farm to the markets or wherever farmers intend to trade.
In arid regions like northern Nigeria, Mali, Chad, sub-Saharan Africa basically, donkeys are used together with camels to pull water from deep wells and are also commonly used in farming traction, so pulling carts or plows to till the soil.
Now, in rural villages, people use donkeys to transport firewood and grains to trade with neighbors, nearby villages, and at markets. Donkeys also assist livestock owners in raising and selling their animals by transporting feed, water, and shelter materials. Donkeys also transport sick animals, like pulling them in carts to veterinary clinics.
Donkeys basically ensure that small rural farmers have a chance to attain a sustainable livelihood. So when China's demand for donkey skin started to increase the price of local donkeys, the predicament of local rural farmers in Nigeria went from poverty to destitution. And for Nigeria, the problem really ramped up about 6 years ago in 2016.
On the horizon, though, is the worrying possibility that donkeys may be wiped out completely. Some African countries have banned trading in donkeys because of decline.
By 2016, the donkey skin trade had already taken roots in several West African countries. And when those countries realized what was happening, they quickly moved to ban the trade and slaughter of donkeys.
Senegal banned donkey skin exports in April 2016. A few months later, in August, Burkina Faso also followed suit. By July 2017, Mali, Niger, Ghana, Gambia, and Chad had all placed some level of ban on donkey skins.
So as these other countries were waking up to the issue and limiting the trade, the Chinese turned to Nigeria since the trade had not been banned here. Between 2016 and 2017, the price of donkeys in Nigeria just shot up. And according to Daily Trust, in 2015, donkeys sold for about 15,000 Naira. Just 1 year later, in 2016, a donkey could sell for 45,000 Naira.
And then, in 2017, the Chinese government reduced the import tax on donkey skins from 5% to 2%, which obviously gave Chinese importers incentive to source more skins from abroad. So by November 2019, a donkey in Nigeria was going for about 80,000 Naira. Now, this price increase has made donkeys out of reach for subsistence farmers. They simply can't afford them, but it has also opened the market for stolen donkeys.
So, of course, criminal activities in rural communities increased as donkeys were stolen and sold on the black market to be skinned and the skins shipped to China. According to DW, in 2016, Nigeria was exporting 10 to 15 tons of donkey hides every month. That's about 1,200 donkeys slaughtered and killed per month in 2016.
Now, as the donkeys were being removed from communities, the workloads fell to fewer and fewer donkeys, which meant the animals were working longer hours, carrying heavier loads, they had less time to rest, less water, less food for those left behind. One farmer who was interviewed by the BBC woke up one day to find his donkey dead and skinned. Now he has to rent a donkey and give up half of the money he makes to the owner. On a good day, he makes maybe $3 to $4, but he's left with $2 to live on.
In 2018, the Nigerian government finally steps in. Honorable Muhammad Garba sponsored HB 108, the Donkey Export and Killings Prohibitions Bill, which, according to the Daily Trust, passed second reading on November 13, 2018.
Mr. Speaker, we cannot afford tractor in spite of the lip services we pay on tractorization and mechanized agriculture. You'll agree with me that most parts of Nigeria, when we had agricultural boom, used donkey for farming. Mr. Speaker, you'll agree with me that we don't have means of transportation even in the rural areas, even across the desert.
Now, after that second reading, nothing really happened until September 2020. That's when the Senate conducted the first reading of their bill, which is called the Donkey Slaughter Regulation and Export Certification Bill. So somewhere between the House's second reading in 2018 to the Senate's first reading in 2020, Nigeria's legislators had gone from banning donkey slaughter and export to regulating the trade.
And this isn't actually a surprise. Several African countries that initially banned the slaughter and export of donkey skins have reversed the decision in favor of regulating the trade. For example, the government of Tanzania, which banned the export of donkey hides to China in mid-2017, overturned the ban in February of 2018. Soon after, the Tanzanian government licensed private Chinese companies to operate a donkey slaughterhouse in Tanzania.
The bill that is currently awaiting the second reading, if it's passed, would allow any person or company registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission to operate a donkey slaughterhouse. But it's not clear yet how the government plans to regulate the number of slaughterhouses or how many donkeys can be slaughtered by each slaughterhouse in a given year. And also, if the point is to prevent the extinction of the donkey, then it would seem that we need to encourage breeding as well.
So the bill, XB 496, includes licensing for breeding. But breeding donkeys takes a long time, and we need to maintain a balance between breeding and slaughter to ensure that these very important creatures don't go into extinction. The other factor that makes breeding donkeys a critical issue is climate change.
climate change is severely impacting the fertility rates of donkeys. According to a research paper by scientists at ABU Zaria, donkeys have not been able to adapt quickly to the changing climate, which induces stress. The stress in the females especially causes lower fertility rates.
This means that as the decades of rising temperatures continue, we won't be able to replace donkeys at the same rates that we are slaughtering them. And if that happens, the donkeys would definitely go into extinction.
But thankfully for us here in Nigeria, the National Animal Production and Research Institute in Zaria is already planning to address this very issue. So in February 2020, they signed an MOU to breed over 2 million donkeys in the next 5 to 10 years. Donkey breeding farms have already been established in Bauchi and Jigawa states. So between the bill to regulate the trade of donkey skins and investments in breeding them, we should be able to find a balance.
We can breed what we need here in Nigeria to support local subsistence farmers, and at the same time, we can create a legitimate trade with China to supply a portion of what they need to meet their own demands and needs.
As we were working on this episode, Alex made an observation. When she discovered that our National Animal Production and Research Institute already has plans to address the issues of donkeys going extinct, she said that's exactly how government is supposed to work. So while our politicians are busy chasing 2023, government should be planning to ensure that we continue to exist as people well beyond 2023. In other words, as politicians are busy playing the finite game of winners and losers, government should be playing the infinite game of survival. And breeding donkeys is a great step to ensure that we continue to support the survival of subsistence farmers until we can make mechanized tools affordable and accessible to them. Breeding donkeys at a mass scale will also allow us to build a legitimate trade with China. But the donkey skin trade actually presents another opportunity to build our local manufacturing capabilities. What COVID-19 should have taught us is that the movement of animal products across borders is a high risk for disease transfer. So instead of China using Africa to source raw animal products, why not invest in local processing of those products? So that by the time China gets the processed goods, the risk of viral transfer is low and the world is safer. Government should also be thinking about how to position us not just as donkey breeders, but as key manufacturers of Ijao for China 10 years from now. And if government really wants to play the infinite game, she would set up research organizations that can figure out how to artificially manufacture donkey collagen and to position us to be the dominant global manufacturer of artificial donkey collagen 20 years from now. Because the demand for donkey collagen is not going anywhere. And if we don't supply it, someone else will. The Backstory is brought to you by E Media Productions. Production copyright 2021 E Media Productions. If you enjoyed this episode of The Backstory and want to hear more, subscribe to our 234 Audio YouTube channel. Episodes of this podcast can also be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. This episode of The Backstory was produced by Alexandra Gekpe, Richard Anyebe, Dominic Tabakaji, and Sam Tabakaji. Executive producer Rahmat Muhammad. Special thanks to Rabia Hadejia and Mala Iwa Gbado Ikaleku. I'm Rahmat Muhammad. See you next week.